So can you see my screen?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Right. So we'll start in 2 minutes. 3:06. Just one sec. All right. Welcome once again. Sorry for that short delay. So in today's class, we'll be talking about. First of all, Baba today is not available today, so I'm going to be filling in for him. You guys probably already know me, but I should also probably mention that I'm not a data analysis by profession, but since these are beginner classes, there are some things that I'm still able to help out with. So what we'll be talking about today is the Excel. So we'll be starting spreadsheets. We're talking about introductions to spreadsheets. I'll show you some things with Excel because I don't know if he mentioned this, but one of the tools I use in data analysis, uh, spreadsheets. So before we get to the point where we are using things like SQL and Python and all those other fancy tools, we'll be using Excel. So yeah, so let's just get started. How many of us have Excel installed on our computers? Also, how many of us have experience with spreadsheets? Yeah, you can just raise your hand like the way that person just did, or you send a message in the chat. Let me let me check. Just 8 people, 7 people out of 35. You know what? Just raise your hand so that I can easily identify us. Don't send a message. Raise your hand if you know how to use spreadsheets or Excel. Excel in particular. 12. Okay. So that's everyone. 12 out of 37 of us, less than half, know how to use Excel. So, but do we have Excel? Okay, I guess you probably have Excel installed if you are using a Windows computer. But if you are not using a Windows laptop, then you can use the online Excel version.
Please, I'm not your. You can't, sorry, please. Your voice is kind of low. I'm not really hearing you very well.
You can't hear me. Oh, sorry about that. Using my mic. Just a second. Should be able to hear. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me well now? You can put your hands down. You can really put down your hands.
Okay, okay, yeah, I can hear you now. I can hear you.
We can hear you.
Okay. So, as I was saying, you can, if you don't have Excel installed on your computer, you can use the online Excel version. It's easy to access. Just go to, uh, you can just type Excel online. Then this is the option that you want to pick, Microsoft 365. So you go here, you use your Outlook account, or you sign up for an account. If you This is for people that don't have Excel only. If you have Excel installed on your computer, then you are fine. You don't need to do this, right? So when you get here, you can either sign up if you don't have an Outlook account. If you have an Outlook account and you know the password, just click sign in. Then chances are your browser already has those details stored, so you can just sign in really easily with your credentials. I'm not going to go through all of that because this is just going to take some time. So when you log in, you see the um, you see the option for, sorry, people are joining the call. So you see the option to pick Excel. It should look something like this. If you're on Windows 10, you can also just uh use the 360 Microsoft 365 that comes pre-installed on Windows. Some Windows 10 versions, yeah. Just click on just click on this icon here. Then it will bring you here. You probably need to also log in here. Then you click on this workbook option. Then click on this workbook option. Then it should open up online Excel in your browser for you. Right. So pretty straightforward. Uh, while you are doing that, those that have Excel, please begin to open your Excel software if it's installed. Me, I don't have Excel installed. That's why I'm using the online version. You can probably also use Google Sheets, which is probably slightly faster than all of these steps. If you have a Gmail account, which I'm guessing every one of us has, it'll be easy to set up. Just search Google Sheets and click on the first option that shows up and log in to bring you here. Right. So welcome to Excel. Hopefully we are all here, or at least almost here. Someone is raising up their hands. Do you have a question? If you don't have a question, please put your hands down, so I don't think you have a question. Someone wants to join the call. Okay. Right. So welcome to Excel. What is Excel? It's a spreadsheet uh software, spreadsheet management software. Some people confuse this with something like what's it called? Microsoft Access, which is a DBMS. But they are different, right? So they're not the same exactly. So Excel is just strictly for spreadsheets, and you can. So as you notice, just give me a minute. Let me add this person. The software is divided into rows and columns, and it goes out endlessly. It stretches out endlessly. Even though you are seeing this BH here, it can go on forever, depending on the size of the data. So if you scroll to the very end, you see that it keeps adding more space, and you can keep scrolling. That's just how it is. It's an endless. spreadsheets. So you have rows and columns. Same thing goes for all of these ones here. So you can scroll down endlessly as well. And so yeah, for your columns are assigned letters. And but when you exhaust this first, so you see how it goes from A to Z. It will start again, but now the letters will double. So now you have A B A C like that to the end. Now cells are labeled using row and column name combination. So for example, this particular cell that you're seeing here, these small boxes, by the way, they are called cells. These are cells. Each rectangular area in your spreadsheet is a cell, and they are labeled using the row and column names. You can easily see the name in the top left corner here. You see it's D5, and it makes sense because we're on the fifth row on the column D. That's why it's called D5, right? So that's how you use this is very important to know, because when you are doing things like writing commands, which we'll get to later on, you see that you need to know cell names, because you can use that to specify like a range of values. So we'll get to that later on. So this is cell A1, cell B1, C1, like that. It goes on. Same thing. So you click on any random cell, you can name it offhand if you want, or you look at the top left corner and you see the name there. This is P16, right? Uh, Give me a minute. Some people are in the lobby. I need to add them. Right. So let's also talk about some of the core parts of Excel that we need to know. Does everyone have their Excel open?
Yes.
Okay. Right. So now, this all these buttons here, there's a lot of them, so it looks kind of overwhelming. But you should don't let yourself get overwhelmed. It's not really complex. You don't have to bother about all of them at the same time. You only use the ones that you need. So you do it one by one. Take it one step at a time. If you don't understand what a button is, then you probably just haven't been using it, or you don't need it just yet. But you can definitely find out what they do. So don't let it scare you. So here, this is the home section. This is the insert section. This insert section allows you to insert stuff. I'm just going to leave it at that for now. You see the things that we can install very soon. Here you can draw, so this gives you option to use things like pen. So if you click on something, you need to paint something, draw a curve, you can use these tools here. Page layout allows you to control how your workspace is set up, and there are different formats for that. So that's what this does. Now you also have formulas. So this part is, you can definitely write formulas right from the home, from home here. But sorry, not from home, but like from here. There's this formula bar here that allows us to write formula. But there are a lot of tools that you can use here with the formula tab. So by the way, these are called tabs. Each one of these are called tabs. There's data, there's review, view, and there's help. So each one of these have their functions. But for the most part, especially in this first class, we'll only be dealing with home for now. We may or may not use inserts in this class. Now, these are the sections that they are divided into. So here we have the text section, and this allows us to control text settings. So in each of these cells, you can actually type stuff. So if you click on any cell, oh, I'm still on the draw. So let me remove that. So in each of these, let's see, can I delete that? Yeah, I should also say that I appreciate the fact that after sending that last email, I believe all of you got the email that I sent. The numbers are coming up. This is the kind of turn up that
Yeah.
we anticipate going forward. I I should actually, yeah, attendance is being taken, so make sure that you attend classes. Unless your tutors say they are not available, then that one is on us. But at least show up for classes, right? Someone else is here. Yes. So as I was saying, you can type stuff inside of these boxes. So obviously, the point of having spreadsheet software is so that you can create spreadsheets, rows and columns, tabulated data, right? So let's say we wanted to do something. Let's say we can type something like we want to store records for students in our class. Let's say we'll have first name, last name. So you can type, just click on the box, type stuff in there, first name, last name, email, let's say track. And like this, I've created a table with 4 columns, even though there's no rows yet, just 4 columns. So we can use this to organize our data. Now, when we type stuff into cells, we can use this portion of the home tab to modify our text. So we can change things like the font type. Font is a fancy word for the style of text, and that's what it refers. That's just how they call it. I don't know the origin or where the name font came from, but it's just know that font means text style. So there are different styles here. If I change it, see, I don't even need to click on it. Once I put my mouse on it, once I hover on a given text style or a given font, it shows me a preview. If you look at the left side here, you see that it's changing. I'm on console as now, and you see that it changes style. So you can be creative here. You know, Excel allows you to do that. If you've used Microsoft Word before, this is very very similar to that. You can change your size here, change font size here as well. You can make, and these are manual buttons that allow you to do the same thing. If you are not exactly sure what size to use here, you can just increase them one by one like this, right? This allows you to bold text, italics, underline, strike through, double underline, borders. Now this applies to whether or not you want borders around uh cells. So what I can do is I can highlight a couple of cells. I can just even click on one, just a single cell, and add borders to it. Different styles here. So if you click on this now, if I leave there, you'll notice that there's a border added to it. You see that this first A1 cell A1 looks slightly different from BC from these other ones, basically B1, C1, and D1, because there's a border around it now. And from here, you can also specify things like border style, the color, and all of those things. These are useful for visualization, just for making your spreadsheet look more pronounced or easier on the eyes, if that makes any sense, right? That's what this section does. You can fill a cell with color. Maybe you don't want this white background. You see, you can change the color using this paint bucket. Then, if you want to change the color of the text itself, currently they are all black, so I can change the color of the text itself by changing the color here. So any color you like. So this entire section is for editing text. This one's on the left for formatting. So this is for undoing stuff. You can use Control Z here, just like in your popular Control C, Control V. They all work here. Control Z works here to undo. You can manually do it here as well if you feel like it. And Format Painter, I'm not exactly sure what this does. I think, yeah, I'm not exactly sure what that one does. Seems like it's a new thing. Even if it's not new, it's not something we'll be using very often. You can figure out what you know. What, that's an assignment. Fi- Figure out what this Format Painter does and send it in the chat. It's not like a real assignment, obviously. It's just that's just me. Now this part here also used for text formatting. So it can happen sometimes that when you're writing, so you notice that everything I've written so far is slightly aligned towards the left. You see this first name that I wrote in cell A1 is slightly aligned towards the left, and same goes for each and every one of these. It might not make sense what I'm saying right now, but watch what happens when I center the text. So this option here allows you to format your text based on alignment. So if you click down here, there are some options here. By default, is this one align text left. But if I click on center, notice what happens. You see, it goes straight to the center. Some people prefer this. Sometimes it looks good. These are all just for adjusting your text and making your spreadsheet look prettier. And these are some of the basic things that you'll be learning in Excel at the very beginning. Wrap text allows you to wrap text. I'll show you an example of what this means. Say I copy this very long string in my browser URL. Say I now pasted it inside this. You see what happens? It looks stretched out. I've not pressed enter yet though, but this is just a preview of what's inside of that cell. When I press enter and I leave there, you see how long it is. It's just very, very long. Sometimes Excel can even hide it. It looks as if this thing I pasted is spread out across all of these different columns, but the truth is it's actually not, because if I type stuff here, it doesn't affect what is um what is inside of that particular cell. And now that I type something in it can't just overlay on top of it because there's something here that needs to be seen. It was because there was nothing there. There was nothing in the other cells that needed to be seen. So Excel is like, okay, you can take the entire space, and but that doesn't mean that you've actually typed. You are still just in cell A. Sorry about that. You are still just in cell A2, and this is where word wrap comes in. When you don't want your text to just stretch out and cover up stuff in other columns, you can use something like word wrap to deal with that. And what that means is that instead of allowing text to line out as long as it can or stretch out as long as it can, wrap it onto the next line so that it stretches out vertically, it stretches out downwards instead of stretching out horizontally this way. So it will go stretch downwards. So if I click on wrap text now, you see what happens. Instead of it going outwards this way, it now stretches out downwards. And this makes more sense this way. Because at least now when I'm looking at this row, I know that everything I'm looking at is inside of here. Albeit it looks a bit ugly because it's just long. But sometimes these kind of things are unavoidable, right? Now there's a useful feature that Excel and spreadsheet softwares provide us, and that's the ability to resize. You probably saw me doing this earlier. Is to resize columns, right, and even rows, so I can stretch this out. If I know that I'm anticipating data that in this column, so data like names, especially like maybe Yoruba names. No offense, I'm also Yoruba, but you get the gist. Names can be very long sometimes. You get if it's not English names, if they're traditional names, and then you know that they can be long, you can definitely use this feature to your advantage to make your spreadsheet look presentable. You just move your mouse to that line in between, right after a column name, and you see when you see this thing appear, this arrow, just drag. It allows you to drag. You can do that for other cells as well. Sorry, it's because this is a link, and anytime I click inside, it just takes me to the link straight. So, you can do the same thing with colons, with rows rather. If you move your cursor to the line that divides each colon, you see that thing appears again. You can stretch up or down, right? So we can now move it back to the original size that it was before. Albeit now you won't see you won't see everything inside, so it looks a bit weird this way because we wrapped the text so that it flows inside. So each one of these cells are like containers, basically. They are containers. You can put an entire paragraph inside of there and it's be hidden until you click on it. Then you now know, oh, this is actually what's inside. But if you want people to see right off the bat, then you can increase the size so that it's easily readable this way. So even though closing it up and making it look like a single cell might make it look more presentable, but it's actually less. It's like form over function. You want people to make look at your slide and say, "Well, it looks pretty," but then function wise, is it easy for me to read stuff inside of this? Obviously not. If you close it up like that, it makes it. Then it gives it form, right? But it doesn't satisfy function because you cannot easily read text inside. But this is good enough, so this is not too bad. So those are some of the funny decisions that you need to make when you are designing your spreadsheet, right? And so yes, there's that. Another thing is another thing that I should mention is merging, which is the next one here. So merging cells together. So you can merge two cells together if you. There are different reasons why you would want to do this, but let's say you want to. Let's see. I can't come up with a good example right now, but let me just show you what it does. So see, I can merge these two cells together here. If the value under these two column at some point happens to be the same value, for example, you can merge them. So if you merge these two, it becomes like a single cell. This two become a single cell. Even though you have two columns here, column B and column C, they represent two different data. Like let me just use the word data types because this one is storing last name, this one is storing email. But for this particular point here, let's just assume that last name and email has the same single value. And I'll say instead of me writing this is just off the track, very basic example. I'm not saying this is always the case for when you want to use this merged feature. There are other reasons why you use merge, and people that are better at data analysis and using spreadsheet than me will know the best use cases for this. I'm just showing you the features that Excel has. So now let's just say that's the case. You now merge it here, but you see how it applies to only the things that I highlighted and not the two. You can definitely merge two columns together like this. Obviously this will take some time because like I said, they go on forever. Is this even possible? Oh, you can't. Yeah, you can't merge because they go on forever. So you can't merge entire. So you just highlight the ones you want to merge and you click merge and it merges them together. Then if you click on merge again on cells that you merged already, it will merge them. So you see you merge them now like that. So that's another useful feature that you can have. Now your data set might need currency and all of that. That's why you have this option here. So you can pick currencies here. If you click on more accounting formats, there are some other options that you will find there as well. And yeah, you can use this to increase decimal. So if you type, I believe if you type something like 4.5, if I, is that what this does? Let me see. Ah, this is hanging. Anyways, we'll skip that. The other important feature that I think is useful is I think is useful for you to know because you can't cover every single feature that Excel has. But let's say we do something like, let me just clear this. Hmm, Actually, I just want, let's just clear that. Reduce this back. Let's reduce this back to normal size. hmm So we can do something like, yeah. Let me also remove this. We can do something like, uh, just a sec. Why is it okay? Feels like it. Okay, looks okay. Right. So another thing is autofill. So Excel also has this autofill feature, which I'll show you how to use. So imagine we're typing, we want to type numbers from 1 to 50. Instead of doing, yeah, by the way, if you look on your left here, you see all these numbers here. Those are like, that's the default serial number. You can use that as default serial number. But although one could argue that these are just numberings for the number of, for cells. But, sorry, I haven't been checking the chat. Somebody saying something. Okay. Yeah, but say you're going to 1 to 50, then you now have to typing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can automate this using the autofill feature. So what you do is you can type 1, 2, 3, or to 4. May not even need to reach 4. It should just be 1, 2. Just highlight those 4 fields. Now you move your cursor right to the bottom right here. When your cursor changes to this plus sign, click and drag downwards, and watch the magic happen. You see that it automatically increases and autofills each succeeding line with the incremental value for every previous value. So it just adds one to it. Basically, what common sense dictates is it should just be adding one as it's going down, and you can continue doing this. Now, there's a difference between so between uh incremental autofill and one that just copies and pastes, which is what you observe there. And that's why it's important for the first. So you need to somehow define the logic for Excel. So if, for example, let's leave this column. Let's say I come here now. If I type 2, or let's say I type 1, and I try to autofill, watch what happens. You observe that it just fills 1 all through. However, when I did it here, it did it with logic, with sense, and increased the values. So, which is why you saw that I said you need to type 1, 2, 3, so that way it observes that there's a pattern already, and then it just follows the pattern. The pattern is that you are just adding 1 in the next line. So when you autofill, it knows that it's supposed to continue that pattern, right? So that's the beauty of autofill. There are some other interesting things that you can autofill. Something like days of the week. If you start with Mondays, let's see if it will autofill the rest of the week, or it will just copy Mondays throughout. Right, you see that it copies Mondays throughout. But if you add logic to it and say, let's give it a pattern, it's able to recognize it. So let's say we now put Tuesdays. Mind you, you are supposed to highlight from the beginning up to the point where you manually added logic last. Not not just don't just write Mondays, Tuesdays and do like this. It will duplicate the values. That's different. You want to highlight it so that it sees that there's a pattern from the start to the last point where you manually added the logic. Then you expand outwards and it's to autofill the rest for you. Right. Also, so as you see now, it just did Mondays and Tuesdays. So it seems like here we need to add more. So let's add Wednesday and see what happens. Wednesdays. Maybe I shouldn't put this S at the back. Let's just say Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Let's try this now. So you drag that out. Hopefully, we have days of the week complete. Yeah, as you can see, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Then it cycles back, which is good. That's what we expect. So that's how you use the autofill functionality in Excel. Are there any questions so far? Oh, someone said I only added Monday and Tuesday for mine to autofill correctly. Why did my own not do it correctly? I get okay. Well, I guess it's because I put S at the back. I wasn't actually spelling. I was saying Mondays, Wednesdays. That's definitely why. Are there any other questions or comments? No questions. Okay, let's carry on. Right. So here's what. Let's now do some. What would I call this? Calculations. Also. Let's see how we can do calculations with Excel. Some basic calculations. So we'll have some cells. Let's say you are in. Okay, I think I have a data set here. Actually, yeah. Let me also use that opportunity to introduce you to Kaggle. You probably have been hearing of it before now. Kaggle is a public repository for data sets, and I think they're open source for the most part, meaning that you can get data sets for free. Data sets are very key when you want to practice your further down the line when you're practicing actual data analysis and not this baby work that we are doing here with Excel. Further down the line, you find Kaggle very, very useful in your career. So I'm using Kaggle to get a because I don't want to type data manually. Okay, I think I downloaded it already. I want to type data manually into the spreadsheet, but let's see. Just give me a minute. It's a CSV. Ah, going to look ugly here. I just drag it here. Nah. So typically, when you download a Kaggle data set, they usually come as CSV. CSV stands for comma separated values, and that kind of like Excel. It's a different format. It's a different format, but Excel is able to open CSV files, so you can import CSV files and it will display it properly for you. You know what? I was just going. Let's just type it together. Let's type it together. So let's say you are. Let me use. I have this. Wow. I have this interesting spreadsheet here called my chocolate addiction. So we'll use the knowledge that we have so far to do some things. So we've learned merge, we've learned how to format our text, we've seen how we can play around with cells a little bit sharp. So we'll add a title to our small table that we want to add in this spreadsheet. We'll call it my chocolate addiction. That's the name of this example that I have. So because I want to put a title header here, I can merge all these four cells together so that I can type one thing that covers all of them. So it sits on top of the remaining things down here as a header. That's one useful thing that you can do with merge, the merge feature. So just call it my chocolate addiction. And what this will do for us is it will we are just keeping track of how much chocolates we eat per every week, every day, every week. Then we'll do the totals at the end, and then we'll see how we can use a simple formula to do it as well. So first thing, we'll have chocolate types here. So we'll have chocolate types here. I like to center my text, so I'm going to use the align feature to center it. Then we'll make it bold. Also make this one bold because those are headers. Now under chocolate types, what chocolate types do you people know? I only know Snickers, I guess, and is Snickers. Type in your favorite chocolate or snack or something in the comments. Let's make it an interactive class. Bounty. Is that not the one with coconuts inside? What is that one? How is that your favorite? Don't mind me. You can like what you like, but yikes. What other Mars? Which one is Mars? Cadbury. That link thing hasn't still left there. That's crazy. Mars, Cadbury. Kuli Kuli Bao. Kuli Kuli is not chocolate now. Milo chocolate. Yeah, let's just leave it at that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I think that's good enough. So now bright days of the week on top of here. So we'll have Mondays, Tuesday. Then, because obviously I don't want to fill the rest, we'll drag it out and let it do the work for us. Let me increase the width of each column here. Right. So down here, we'll just keep track of, we'll just add some random values there on how many of this chocolate we eat per day. And because it's an addiction, these numbers will be somehow. So we'll start with like 4, says it's 2 on a Monday. So you're eating 4 Snickers on Monday, 2 Bounty. Let's say you don't like Mars, eat 3, and this one maybe 1. Right? I think this class was some end. Okay, 15 minutes. Toblerone, I've never heard that one. It sounds bougie. It must be rich. 5. So on Tuesday, say we eat 6. 4. This one 1 because we don't really like it. This one, let's say 2. Milo, let's say 2 again. Let's say we take it easy on Wednesday. You don't have to fill these exact values, or you can just fill in whatever you like. Obviously, based on how you eat these things. Let's switch things up. Yeah, let's say 3. 8. So because I ate 8, I'll reduce the remaining ones. I see choke. 4, 2, 3. Hopefully, you guys are not just watching me. You are also doing it on your own as well. That makes it more interactive. Three, two, five, six, one. Sunday, we'll delete the sun. Let's say we go to church on Sunday and we remain holy on Sunday. So we leave Sunday for God. We don't eat chocolate on Sundays. That's it. Like I just don't want to type all those things there again. Eases my work. Yeah, let's also make all of this bold because they are headers for. So our spreadsheet is looking pretty nice, right? Now let's add another one here called total or totals, whichever. Call it totals. And down here we can compute the sum of all of these. We can compute the sum of all of these using two methods. In this top right here, you see this auto sum button here, which is very useful feature that we will now start to use as well. You eat 10 chocolates a day, or you are suggesting values for me. You can, yeah, so to sum them up, we'll highlight all these values. We'll highlight it down to the cell where we want the total to appear. So I highlight it downwards like this to the cell where I want the total to appear, which is this cell. And you now go and click the sum button. When you click that, you see it gives you the sum, right? You do that here again, click the sum. Now, one funny thing that I believe we can do is we'll now highlight these two totals, we'll now drag it out. We'll now see what happens. And the magic there is that Excel knows that what we are doing is we are adding the sum of this of every value in each column from cell C4, well, from this part here down to here, right? And that way it just knows, and because of the way autofill logic works, when I drag it out it just repeats the operation for each subsequent column, knowing that I need to add cell, this cell, this cell, this cell, this cell, to the next five cell in that range, and add them up, right? Were you guys all able to do this? Did you get this same behavior?
Yes.
Right. Is it just Oluwaduni that got it? Oh, that's cool. Did you guys get it?
I don't know if it's my network, but I haven't been able to see your screen for a while.
Ah, I did not see anything since. Can you people see my screen or is it just her?
I can see it.
Others can see it. Let me just share it again, shall.
Yeah, I can see your screen.
It's too tiny. Oh, that's true. Because I'm in a monitor. Let me stop and share it again. Are you able to see it now?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. So I believe everyone got it up to this point. Let me zoom in a bit because should be more visible now. Right, so as I was saying, the autofill feature is also useful to repeat calculations, so you don't repeat tasks. It's that smart. Now let's talk about how before this timer runs out. I think we have just 10 minutes more. I'm not going to go too fast here. I'm going to stop the class once that timer hits. And as an assignment for you, what you need to do is create an index like this, because something like this is what you would call an index, because it outlines um I don't want to say key points. You can see in detail how many stuff, how much in this context, yeah, how much sneakers you are consuming per week, and it's a sort of an index. Sha. Just do something like this for your assignment. It doesn't have to be your chocolate addiction. It could be something else that you know you can have enough data for on a weekly basis. And then, if it's not obviously, it's not something too personal as well. It doesn't have to be anything personal. Don't say because you are doing assignment, you have to now write personal stuff. Something that makes sense. You can also just cook up some story, or just make a table like this. List out all the days of the week and how much of it there is data for on each day. Then just do this, sum up the totals, and share a screenshot of your results on there. Feel free to design your what's it called, your spreadsheet as much as you like. That way you can practice. Also, don't be scared to click buttons that you don't know what they do. Just click and see what it does. It could be fun. So yeah. Yeah. Also, remember you can do Control Z if you mess things up. You can always do Control Z. Now, the last thing I'll just talk about is how these totals can be computed using formulas, and that's where we'll start our class from next time, or where Babson is around. By the way, hopefully you guys are aware from the email. Your classes are now on Mondays and Wednesdays, so not Fridays. Realize that the gap between the two classes was too much, so to keep you guys engaged, it's now Mondays and Wednesdays. So your next class will be on Wednesdays, 3 p.m. like this, unless something comes up, which will be communicated to you on the channel. So if you click on any of this total cell, if you notice that your formula bar here is giving you a preview of what's happening there. It's showing you what's actually going on. So actually in the background, when we click that sum button, it executed a formula which using this sum function, and Excel has like an endless list, not literally endless, but I'm speaking metaphorically here, an endless list of functions that you can use for your computing purposes with spreadsheets. A lot of them, and quite a few of them, not a few, quite a number of them are useful for your data analysis use cases. So one of the ones that we use here, or that sum function uses, is the sum function. I said function twice. That sum button that we clicked on uses the sum function to calculate it. And how it works is you type in equals to first, telling that place that you want to use a function. Then you now type sum. You notice that as you start typing, you seeing the name of different functions that have that same. If you type A, you see the bunch of functions that are available that start with an A that you can call. And they all have their what they do and how you can use them. But to compute sum, you use the sum function. You type in sum, you open up a bracket, and when you open a bracket, it comes up with a description here. If you're using like the latest versions, I guess is when this feature is there, or maybe even only when you're on the browser. I'm not sure. You may or may not see this description here. So the description says adds all numbers in the range of cells. And how do we specify a range? Is the thing. To specify a range, you need to know. So you notice that when I started this call, I said it's important for you to know how cell labels work. So a cell is labeled using the combination of the column name and the row name, or row label, whichever one it is. This is column name, which is column B, and this is row 15. They are highlighted so that you can easily identify them. This is row 15. It's highlighted in green. Same here. And if you look at top left, you see that you're on B15, which makes sense. Column B, row 15, or row 15, column B, whichever one you want to call it. And however, the labels are actually in the order of column name, row name. So column B, row 15. So when you are writing a cell name when you want to reference a cell, you use column name followed by row name, right? So this is the name of this. Now you look at Monday here. This cell that I clicked on, these are the values I want to add up, right? So this is what cell B4. What cell is this? Can someone say what cell this is? Just using the name, colon, colon, and
B8. That's so B8.
B8, right? So that's it. So pretty straightforward. What you now do is use that information that you have. Now that you know how to use label, you can now write a range and say you want to capture values from here to here, or rather from cell B4 to cell B8. Those are the values that are of importance to me as far as this sum is concerned. It's the same thing as highlighting them, right? So inside here, we now write equals to sum. Yeah, make sure your caps lock is on. The names are case sensitive, I suppose. So you now write B4 2. So when that 2 is what we use a colon to represent. So to something is the colon. To what? To B8. Then you close the bracket. And now you see that it's already highlighted it for you. You see these blue marks around it. As you are writing, you are seeing the direct effect of it. So you press. Now you make sure that you are on the cell. You type that formula inside the cell that you want the value or the results of that function to go to. So you have to be careful there. So I have to make sure that I'm inside this cell here before I go and start typing formulas inside of here. So when I've typed out my formula and I know that I'm in the cell that I want the results to go to, I'll press enter. And then that value will go. Oh, it says B. What is that? B, what is this? B4. Oh, this is a different formula that is here. So you see why I have to be careful. I already messed it up. Let me just Ctrl Z. Because I'm on the online version, it's quite slow. How much time is left? Yikes! Ends in under a minute. Uh, I don't want to drag this call. Okay, I'll send another link in the call. This call will end in like a minute now. I'll send another link now just to round up that part. You guys should look out for that. I'll end this call now. Send another link. Please check the channel for that. By me outside. My rough family. I don't know this shit. Oh, you have a better, right? I see. Alright. Sorry about that. Let me just share my screen again. Can you see my screen again?
Yes. Yes, I can see it.
Okay. Right. Okay. Mm, Just a minute. Okay. Right. So as I was saying, make sure they're typing it in here. So just do it again. I think it's B4 to B8. So this part, press enter and you see the value is now 10. It wasn't B4 to B10 because I highlighted the whole thing down here, but this M2 empty spots don't make any difference. They're like zero there, so that's fine. Doesn't matter anyways. So if you click on any of the subsequent totals and you observe the cell there, the formula here, you see the same computation is happening. C4 to C10, this to that, like that, like that, like that. It's just the letter of the column that's changing because it increases to the right. So it's very straightforward. You can do other sorts of computation and use autofill to autofill it like that as well. Things like count numbers or average values. You can do all those other ones there. And you can definitely write formulas for them. I think, as a matter of fact, most of your data analysis stuff will be you just writing formulas and using them to make uh yeah, to make calculations. So yeah, this call was almost done before someone just joined again. Are there any questions? I
No
just
questions.
All right. So you are clear on your assignment, then just make a
I have a question. The assignments. The assignments.
yeah. Go on. What's the question?
I asked how are we supposed to submit the assignments.
Oh, okay. I think someone's mic is echoing to the call. Yeah, I got your question. How do you submit the assignment? Good question. Um, just okay. I'll send a Google Drive link that you can upload your files to. I guess. Yeah. Just do the stuff, get the file ready, then upload it to the Google Drive link that I will send to the channel. And it's due Wednesday. So before next class, you should do your assignment. Are there any other questions?
I have a question.
Okay.
Although I'm going like way ahead of myself, but I just want to ask the course for SQL, is it coming up anytime soon?
Yeah. So as soon as we finish with Excel, oh wait though. Okay, after Excel, I'm looking at the curriculum now. After Excel, we have some conditional formatting, data visualization with Excel. Then we'll do Power Query. Just okay, Excel. After Excel, then SQL. Yeah, I'm guessing in a few weeks, maybe 2 weeks from now, Sha. Depending on how quickly the outline can be covered.
Okay.
Yeah. Then after SQL, you do Power BI, and last on the list is Python. I was actually thinking of thinking in Python because that's like where my strength is, but I don't want to do that because it seems like most people put Python at the end of data analysis courses. So you people do that at the very end. But it definitely wouldn't be me that will take you through Excel and SQL with Power BI. Probably with the Babatunde because he's the expert in that. Unfortunately, he wasn't available today, so I had to like fill in for him. At least because these parts are still introductory parts for the most part, so that's why it's that way. But next class for sure, he'll be here to continue the class. Hopefully, you guys learned a thing or two, especially with the introduction to Excel parts. So your assignment will show, Sha, whether or not you understand what what we did today. I'm pretty sure most of you have used Excel before. So any other questions aside that, then can end the call here. I'll send the recording uh later, maybe later today, Sha. Alright, seems there are no questions. We'll end the call here. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.